The thing is, everybody wants to find the next 10,000 HEX coin, and they know very little about HEX. And they just assume that HEX is just like any other token. It's not. First of all, HEX has a dynamic deferred inflationary model, and its dynamic deferred inflationary model pushes inflation out into the future, and that's what we call the T-share model. In HEX, we also have what's called the truth engine. Okay? And that is where you make a commitment, you have to honor that commitment, or you're penalized for not following through with what you say you're going to do, which is not very popular in crypto because everybody's a bunch of cheats, right? Everybody just wants to tap out, tap out, tap out. Well, that's convenient for you because guess what? Things have been made to bypass the truth engine, and those are liquid staking products, and they are called Maximus. And then you've got, under Maximus, you've got Deci. You've got Lucky. And you've got Trio. And you also got Base. And these are liquid 15-year, 10-year, 7-year, 3-year, and 1-year stakes. And they are liquid coins that can be sold at any time, representing a position at the time those tokens were created, representing a position of those stakes. And once again, the underlying asset is HEX. These are both available on the PulseChain side and the HEX side. These were made before the fork, so therefore they both exist on that side, and you can claim that side's pool when you're able to reclaim once those come to fruition. The thing is, most people are going to sell them before their stake is up because they have the ability to do so. These are liquid. Most likely they're going to be traded. Sometimes they trade at a premium. Sometimes they trade at a deficiency. And that is based on the market of people that are trying to bypass the truth engine, and they just want liquid staking function because they don't want to be committed. Okay? And then on top of that, we also have HSI. And HSI is a HEX staking instance, which that is, you create a stake that then can be tokenized and sent to another wallet, because all stakes in HEX are linked to the wallet that they're created from. Okay? So you got HSIs, which is tokenized stakes. Also, there are bonus tokens. If you have a T-share, okay? You've got bonus tokens. You've got Hedron and Communis. Those are bonus tokens that you get. Communis is more like a rebate. So when you create a stake and you create a long stake, you get a rebate in this Communis token, which then can be used to buy whatever you want. Okay? Hedron is a bonus token that you receive based on the amount of T-shares that you have. There are multipliers. People that got in early and staked long, they get multipliers. But because you have T-shares, you both get rewarded in Hedron and Communis. Those are two separate tokens that are based off the T-share, which the only way to get a T-share, once again, is with HEX. Now, what is HEX exactly? HEX is just simply a token that the distribution of the supply goes to the stakers instead of going to miners. Miners have to sell to pay for the power bills. In HEX, the miners do not have to sell because they're stakers. They don't have any equipment to buy or anything. They're just earning coins based on the amount of time that they set up their tokens. That's it. In fact, HEX had staking before Ethereum had staking. HEX is a smart contract that enabled you to store tokens over a period of time and get rewarded for it, much like Ethereum staking is today. But staking was a no-no back then because everybody, oh, no, you got to buy all this equipment and mine. Staking was a no-no. No, everybody wanted proof of work. No, only these people can participate, not everybody. Only these people that can afford these expensive miners get the free coins. Well, HEX opened that up to everybody, where everybody can get a T-share and everybody can start earning today. And that's what was the phenomenon. That was the innovation of it. It was staking before Ethereum even had staking, before Ethereum was ever Ethereum 2.0. Okay? Now, what caused problems? Well, the gas fees Ethereum went through the roof. And HEX uses what's called the S-load function, which means it has to compound the amount of days to figure out how much the contract owes you. And when the S-load function was raised, it caused extreme damage to people with smaller stakes, that they had to bleed them out. They couldn't afford to unstake them at the price levels that they were at, and that caused problems. Hence is why we now have PulseChain. Okay? And PulseChain is supposed to be cheaper, faster, more affordable, and it is optimized for the use of HEX. Now, we talked about the HSIs. We talked about the perpetuals. These are called perpetuals. Okay? And then you've also got some new stuff coming out, which you'll see Crispy talk about. I really don't know much about these new protocols that are also being built on HEX. But what I can tell you is HEX also, there's a program from Power City called Flex, which allows you to borrow against your HEX and create HEX DC. Okay? And that's a stable coin. So you can make a vault, deposit your HEX, and borrow HEX DC with Power City's protocol, the Flex. Okay? And I hear Dipcatcher's making another chain or whatever. You know, that's the guy that's behind this stuff over here. But Flex, as I'm saying it, is the Power City Flex. I think that causes confusion. You really should have used the same name. You know, you're expecting this to just go away, but you're going to have a conflict of interest there with the name. Anyway, so Flex on PulseChain allows you to borrow against your HEX. Now, this doesn't allow you to borrow against your HEX on Ethereum. So there's a disadvantage here, okay? And also, Fame. Fame is a GMX fork, and it allows you to long and short up to 30x on your HEX. If you like leverage trading, which I do not recommend, but it's available. Okay? You can long and short. Haters, go out there. Short the shit out of HEX. Go ahead. It's at fame.io. Alright? And then we have also another protocol that you can borrow against your HEX. It's called Fiat. That's fiat.io. Off the top of my head, right? So you can also borrow different assets. You don't have to just borrow a stable coin. You can borrow different assets. You can borrow Pulse or PulseX or whatever, anything against your HEX on fiat.io. And if you do borrow it, you have to understand the rules of you know, if the price dips, keeping collateral level and everything else. But again, that's another thing that allows you to utilize your HEX. But again, this is HEX on PulseChain. You can't use this new Pulse stuff on the old HEX, okay? However, another thing that people don't realize is that not only did HEX have staking before Ethereum, we also have an ETN. Similar to an ETF. We have an ETN. We've had an ETN for almost 2 years now. It's called HEX Investment Trust. Okay? HEX Investment Trust.com. And it's an ETN, which means it is a SEC approved ETN that is tradable for accredited investors only. Okay? So that exists, and we've had that for 2 years, while everybody else is complaining and saying, oh, we need to get our ETF for our coin, we need it for Solana, we need it for XRP, we need it for ADA. Yeah, we've had it for 2 years now. You guys just aren't paying attention out there, okay? Now, something else you don't understand is HEX has like 200 websites, user-ran websites and applications and bots. We've got a bot on X that does maximum stake links. We've got another bot that does T-share calculations. We've got another bot that does pricing. We've got all these different bots that report different things for us, okay? And then we've got websites. And some of these websites, let me get some more screens. We've got HEXNoob.com. Here you can find the white paper and you can read all about HEX with the HEX Layman's Guide and what it actually is and what it does. You've got Pampy.app. And that is something that you can use to calculate if X amount of money were to come in, how much would that actually move the price. We've got HexCalc.net. Okay, and this is a way to figure out how much to stake, for how long to stake, where you expect the prices to be, et cetera, and it's a speculation tool. Okay, we've got Hex Scout. Also very educational to read more about what Hex is and what it does. It allows you to stake on its front end, and it allows you to toggle between PulseChain and Ethereum. You've got tshare.app. There's a lot of education on Hex Scout too. You've got tshare.app. This is just another front end that you can use. Apparently, I guess people were using that with their Tangent wallet. I don't have a Tangent wallet. I don't know much about that. You've got icosa.pro. And so when I was talking about Hedron, so icosa is another layer yet. So you're getting free Hedron for your T-share, which is from HEX. And that Hedron can then be staked, and then you can produce icosa, which is yet another coin. So this coin can also be staked, and this coin can also be staked. So Communis can be staked also. So you've got a T-share, Hedron, then icosa, and icosa allows you to earn both Hedron and icosa. Smaller amounts though. It's not as it has been nerfed quite a bit. Okay. So there are 200 websites, guys. 200 websites. I can't sit here and list them all. It would take me all damn day. But the point is, there's no other token out there that has 200 websites who you can stake, and you get all these additional tokens and options. And you've got all these different options of how to break down your stake if you want to stay in liquid form. You can have encapsulated stakes, which was another smart contract that was very innovative. And let's talk about the encapsulated stakes for a second, because the encapsulated stakes can be tokenized and they can also be auctioned. So there's an actual auction where you can use your Hedron to bid on HSI stakes if you like the auction thing. So there's another factor there. I'm trying to remember that other one that's made now. There's another one that just recently came out that you can change your SSIs into something else. You'll have to follow Crispy for that. But the point that I'm making here, the point that I'm trying to make here to you guys is Hex is not just a coin with a story. Hex is infrastructure for all kinds of different things. Okay? It is so deep that you're going to spend so long trying to catch up with, trying to figure out what it is. But it is not just a typical ERC20 token. There is so much more to it to understand and figure out. And we've got all the websites for you to do that.